A woman stands alone on a firing line. 53 people watching, 0 defending her. In her hands, a rifle held together with duct tape and hope, silver gleaming in the brutal Virginia sun. The man who gave it to her is smiling. He thinks this is the end of her career. He has no idea this is the end of his. 72 hours earlier, black screen. Radio static cuts through the darkness like a blade. A voice crackles to life. Professional, calm. The kind of calm that only comes from men who have seen death and learned to speak its language. Go 6, you are cleared hot. Wind 12 knots southwest. Target at 2,400 meters. 2,400 meters, 1.5 miles. The distance between impossible and legend. Silence. The kind that exists between heartbeats. Between the moment a trigger starts to move and the moment everything changes. One shot. Sharp, clean, final. 7 seconds of bullet flight. 7 seconds where physics and skill and fate dance together. 7 seconds that will save 300 American lives. The radio crackles again. Confirmed. High-value target eliminated. How copy? A woman's voice responds. Young, steady, empty of everything except professional courtesy. Solid copy. Go 6 out. 3 words. 3 words that ended a terrorist operation. 3 words that made her a legend. 3 words that she can never say again. Because legends don't exist. And the woman who spoke them is about to disappear. 6 years later, the Pentagon, Arlington, Virginia. Colonel Hawk Morrison sits in a conference room that smells like old coffee and older secrets. 62 years old, face like weathered leather carved by decades of war. Chest full of ribbons from conflicts most Americans have forgotten. Vietnam, Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan. 4 decades of watching good Marines die because someone made a mistake. Someone cut a corner. Someone placed politics above competence. He thought he was done with all of it. 3 days ago, he was in Montana, fishing, retired, free. Then his phone rang at 0600. General Patricia Thornton doesn't make social calls. She sits across from him now, 55. Hard eyes, harder reputation. 2 stars earned in combat zones where logistics meant the difference between mission success and body bags. She slides a folder across the table. Classified, top secret, the kind that gets people fired for leaving it on a desk. Quantico, advanced marksmanship program. We have a problem. Morrison doesn't open the folder yet. Ma'am, I'm retired. You're bored, and I need someone I can trust. Trust, that word again, the one that defined his career. Cost him promotions, earned him enemies and respect in equal measure. Thornton continues without waiting for response. 12 female Marines have left the program in 18 months, all with exemplary test scores, all citing hostile training environment. Morrison finally opens the folder. Photos, performance evaluations, exit interviews. Patterns emerge clear as blood on snow. Someone's running a filter. Thornton nods once. Staff Sergeant Jake Brennan, 13 years service, multiple complaints, 0 consequences. He has protection. What kind? The kind that comes with phone calls from a senator's office every time someone tries to investigate. Morrison closes the folder, studies Thornton's face. You want me to document it? I want you to burn it down. But first we need evidence that survives when lawyers get involved, when politicians start screaming, when careers are on the line. She slides a second folder across the table. Thinner, 1 file. Morrison opens it. A photo stares back. Young woman, green eyes, light brown hair. Face that could belong to any Marine in any unit anywhere, except for the caption. Mitchell, Sarah J. Captain, USMC Mose, 0317, Scout Sniper Classification Top Secret. Morrison's breath catches. The ghost? You've heard of her. Every sniper in the Corps has heard of her. Most think she's a myth, a story we tell ourselves to feel better about our limitations. Thornton's expression doesn't change. She's real. 127 confirmed kills, 4 deployments. Longest confirmed kill in Marine Corps history, 2,437 meters. Morrison studies the photo, trying to reconcile the young face with the legend. What's she doing at Quantico? Evaluating our training program. Undercover, 2 weeks playing trainee, watching, documenting, seeing what we really teach the next generation. And Brennan has no idea. Brennan thinks she's fresh meat, another woman he can drive out, another career he can destroy. Morrison looks at the photo again. Something bothers him. Ma'am, if she's as good as her file suggests, why the elaborate cover? Why not inspect as a captain? Thornton's smile is cold. Because I need to know what happens when an instructor thinks no one important is watching. I need the truth, not the performance they put on for inspectors. She stands, meeting over. You fly out tonight. Observe, document. When this goes public, and it will, I need evidence that survives congressional hearings and criminal trials. Morrison stands as well. General, what happens when Brennan realizes who she is? Thornton moves toward the door, pauses with hand on the handle. Then we'll see what kind of man he really is, and what kind of institution we've become. Quantico, Virginia Marine Corps Base, present day 0630 hours. Morrison stands in the observation tower. 3 days of watching, 3 days of documenting systematic destruction of careers disguised as training standards. The sun rises over the firing range like Judgment Day. Orange light spills across concrete and steel. Heat already building. Virginia summer that makes uniforms stick and sweat run before the first shot is fired. Below, 23 Marine trainees assemble on the firing line. Young faces, eager, hungry. They don't know what they don't know yet. That's always the dangerous part. Morrison's hands grip the railing, knuckles white, not from age, from controlled rage at 72 hours of documented abuse. Staff Sergeant Jake Brennan emerges from the equipment shed, 38 years old, bald head gleaming, muscles that photograph well but tell you nothing about competence, voice that carries like artillery fire. Morrison has been watching him for 3 days. The man is a fraud wrapped in authority. Through binoculars, Morrison watches Brennan demonstrate firing stance to a male trainee. The stance is wrong, boot placement off 3 inches. Weight distribution creates recoil problems that will show at distance. The trainee mirrors the incorrect form. Brennan nods approval. Morrison makes a note on his tablet. Time-stamped. Precise. 0634 hours. SS Jake Brennan demonstrates improper stance. Trainee adopts incorrect form. No correction provided. But there's something else about Brennan. Something Morrison noticed day 1. A photo on his desk in the instructor office. Young woman in marine dress blues. Pretty. Proud. Same jawline as Brennan. Same eyes. Morrison did his research. Lieutenant Emily Brennan, Jake's younger sister, killed in action. Iraq. 2009. Ambush outside Ramadi. 3 Marines dead, 7 wounded. The after-action report was classified. But Morrison has clearance. He read it yesterday. 1 line buried in tactical analysis. Contributing factor. Female Marine in unit failed to maintain proper security posture, potentially compromising perimeter defense. The report never named the female Marine, never brought charges. Language was vague. Could have meant anything, could have meant nothing. But Jake Brennan read that report, and he made it mean everything. For years, Brennan served in line units. Infantry, reconnaissance, places where his sister's death was just painful memory, not operational obsession. But in 2021, Brennan transferred to instructor duty at Quantico. Away from the field, into a position where he controlled who advanced and who failed. That's when unprocessed grief became systematic bias. That's when mourning became mission. Morrison watches Brennan move down the firing line now, sees how his face changes approaching female Marines, how his jaw tightens, how his eyes narrow. This isn't about training standards. This is about a brother who never processed grief, never forgave, never moved past the moment his sister died. This is about a man who blames every woman in uniform for the death of one. That makes him dangerous in a different way. Not evil, not cruel for cruelty's sake. Tragic, and still completely responsible for his actions. A female trainee steps to the firing line. Private First Class Emma Carson, 21 years old. Morrison checked her file yesterday. Top 20% basic training. Expert rifle qualification. 2 older brothers who served. Father who served. Family legacy written in service records going back 3 generations. But something else caught his attention. Mother's name, Staff Sergeant Maria Carson. Retired 2021. Reason for separation, medical. Morrison knows how to read between lines in military files. Medical separation after harassment complaint usually means the complaint went nowhere and the Marine went away. He made a call yesterday, unofficial, to a friend at Marine Corps Personnel Command. Maria Carson didn't retire. She was forced out by Jake Brennan. 4 years ago, same pattern, same tactics, systematic evaluation failures on subjective criteria, recommendations against advancement, pressure until the Marine quit rather than fight a system designed to exhaust resistance. Maria Carson left the Corps after 12 years of honorable service. She took her own life last year. Her daughter joined the Marines 6 months later. Emma Carson is here for a reason, and Morrison suspects it's not just about serving her country. Emma assumes firing position now. Form nearly perfect, boot placement correct, body alignment textbook, breathing controlled. She fires 10 rounds at a 300-meter target. 8 hits center mass, 2 in the 9 ring. 80% accuracy. Morrison watches Brennan approach through binoculars. Body language tells the story before words. Aggressive stance, finger pointing. Emma's shoulders tense. Morrison switches to directional microphone. Terrible grip. Absolutely terrible. You think that's how a Marine holds a rifle? Drop and give me 50. Emma drops, starts push-ups, face showing confusion, hurt. She knows she shot well, knows 80% is above standard. Brennan moves to the next shooter, male, private first class. The private fires 10 rounds at same target. 6 hits, 4 misses, 60%. Brennan slaps his shoulder. Outstanding form, Marine. That's how it's done. Pattern clear, obvious, documented. Morrison's grip on his railing tightens until knuckles crack. Master Gunnery Sergeant Frank Hayes climbs the tower stairs. 48 years old, 26 years in. The kind who shows up, does the work, keeps his head down. Morrison respects that. Hayes nods greeting. Morning, Colonel. Gunny. Silence, both watching the range below. Hayes breaks it. You seeing what I'm seeing, sir? Morrison doesn't lower binoculars. Depends what you're seeing, Gunny. SS Jake Brennan playing favorites, again. How long? Hayes shifts weight, uncomfortable. 6 months that I know of, maybe longer. Wasn't my place to question a staff sergeant's methods. Morrison lowers binoculars, turns to face Hayes directly. And now? Now you're here. Now maybe someone actually does something. The honesty is refreshing. Tell me about the female trainee, the one in civilian clothes. Hayes pulls out his roster sheet. Mitchell, first name Sarah, listed as new trainee, first assignment, no prior service record in system. Morrison pulls out his tablet, types the name. Classified file loads. Mitchell, Sarah J. Captain, USMC Military Occupational Specialty, 031 Scout Sniper. Same face from Pentagon briefing. Same woman standing on firing line below. Morrison's breath catches. Master Gunny, that woman is Captain Sarah Mitchell. Hayes blinks. Captain, sir, the paperwork says... Her paperwork is cover. She's here on evaluation orders from the Commandant. Undercover assessment. Understanding dawns on Hayes' face. Then concern. Sid Brennan has no idea. No, he doesn't. A new voice cuts into the conversation. Behind them, smooth, professional, the kind belonging to lawyers and politicians. Actually, that's going to be a problem. Morrison and Hayes turn. Captain Derek Hastings stands at the top of the tower stairs. 40 years old, some JAG officer, pressed uniform, face that belongs in corporate boardrooms, not combat zones. Morrison's instinct screams warning. Captain Hastings, something I can help you with? Hastings moves to the railing, looks down at the range. Eyes find Sarah Mitchell immediately. Colonel Morrison, I have been briefed on your assignment here, the evaluation, the undercover assessment. He turns to face Morrison directly. I need you to shut it down. Words hang in air like smoke after gunfire. Morrison's voice goes cold. Excuse me? Hastings pulls out his phone, shows Morrison an email. From Senator Robert Graham's office to Captain Derek Hastings, JAG. Subject Quantico training assessment. Message. Recommend administrative resolution of training evaluation to avoid unnecessary political exposure. SSGT Brennan has served with distinction. Senator Graham takes personal interest in protecting Marines from politically motivated investigations. Morrison reads it twice. This is obstruction. Hastings pockets the phone. This is political reality, Colonel. Senator Graham's nephew serves under SSGT Brennan. The senator has made clear that any investigation reflecting poorly on the program reflects poorly on his family's military service. So you're covering up documented bias to protect a senator's reputation. I'm preventing a witch hunt that damages the Corps' relationship with congressional oversight. Morrison steps closer, his experience and authority radiating in ways that make Hastings take involuntary step back. Captain, I don't care if the president himself calls. I document what I see. I report what I find. Politicians can sort it out after justice is served. Hastings' professional mask slips, shows something underneath. Desperation, fear. Colonel, if this assessment continues, if Captain Mitchell's identity is revealed, careers will be destroyed, including yours. Is that a threat? It's a warning from someone who understands how this game is played. Morrison turns back to the railing, looks down where Sarah Mitchell is checking equipment with professional precision. Get off my observation tower, Captain, before I have you removed for interference with a lawful investigation. Hastings doesn't move. You're making a mistake. Morrison's voice drops, deadly quiet. The only mistake I'm making is not having you arrested right now. You have 10 seconds to leave before that changes. Hastings leaves. Footsteps on metal stairs sound like countdown to something inevitable. Hayes whistles low. Sir, that's going to come back on you. Let it. I've got nothing left to lose except my integrity, and that's not negotiable. He raises binoculars again. Below, Sarah Mitchell has moved to a position near Emma Carson. Says something quiet, Emma nods. Something passes between them. Morrison makes a note. Mitchell establishing rapport with affected Marines, building case from ground level. She's good. Better than good. Understands that documentation means nothing without testimony, without voices willing to speak truth. Brennan's voice cuts across the range. You, new meat. What's your name? He spotted Sarah. Morrison leans forward. This is it. Everything that happens next determines whether justice is possible or politics wins again. Sarah turns, face neutral, empty of everything except military courtesy. Mitchell, Staff Sergeant. Brennan circles her. Predator evaluating prey. Mitchell, you think you can handle a rifle, princess? The word princess cuts through morning air. 23 trainees go quiet. This is entertainment. Morrison watches Sarah's micro-expressions through binoculars. Tiny tightening around eyes. Fractional shift in stance. She's controlling anger. The kind from being underestimated by men who wouldn't survive 5 minutes in situations she's mastered. Her voice is flat, professional. I'm here to learn, Staff Sergeant. Perfect answer, textbook. Should deflect aggression. But Brennan isn't looking for perfect answers. He turns to address the crowd. 23 trainees, 3 instructors, range safety officers, 53 witnesses to what he thinks will be his moment of authority. Princess here thinks she's ready to learn. Let's see what she's got. He moves toward equipment shed. Morrison's instinct screams warning. Hayes tenses. Sir, he's going for... I know. Brennan emerges carrying a rifle that looks like it barely survived a war. M4 carbine. Barrel wrapped in white duct tape. Stock wobbles. Forward grip cocked at angle, making proper form impossible. Morrison has seen this before. The humiliation rifle. Weapon instructors use to break trainees they want gone. Hazing disguised as training. Abuse disguised as standards. Exactly what Morrison was sent to find. He zooms binoculars tight, documents every detail, every piece of tape, every damaged component, because this is going to court-martial. He can feel it. Brennan holds up the damaged weapon for everyone to see. Since you're so ready to learn, you get the honor of using our special training rifle. Laughter erupts. Harsh, cruel. Relief that someone else is the target. That thing's held together with tape and prayers. She'll be lucky if it doesn't explode. Sarah reaches for the rifle. Fingers wrap around the grip. Something changes. Microscopic. Invisible to everyone except Morrison, who has spent decades reading body language in combat zones. Hand position adjusts. Professional. Automatic. Support hand finds damaged forward grip. Tests stability. Compensates for angle without thinking. These aren't trainee movements. These are master-level adjustments. Morrison whispers to Hayes. Watch this. Brennan circles Sarah, voice loud. 800 meters, 10 targets. Miss more than 2, you're out. Permanently, back to administrative duty where women belong. Administrative duty. Career death. Threat designed to make Marines quit rather than endure humiliation. Sarah examines the rifle. Morrison watches every movement. Complete weapons inspection. Magazine check. Brass check. Barrel inspection with fingertips tracing duct tape. Feeling for weak spots. This isn't basic training. This is armor or level analysis. She checks bolt carrier group. Tests trigger pull. Examines scope mounting with attention, suggesting she understands loose mounts create point of impact shifts. Brennan watches with growing irritation. Problem, Princess? Too complicated? Sarah doesn't look up. No problem, Staff Sergeant. Just familiarizing myself with equipment. But it's more. She's calculating, compensating, building mental models of how damaged components affect accuracy. She's doing ballistics calculations in her head, the kind taught in Scout Sniper School, the kind taking years to master. Emma Carson steps closer to the firing line. Watching Sarah with intensity, Morrison recognizes. Hope, the kind from seeing someone who might actually change things. Sarah moves to firing position 7. Boots find concrete. Assumes prone position. Morrison's breath catches. Perfect body alignment. Elbow placement precise. Natural point of aim established without conscious thought. breathing settling into 4-count rhythm snipers use. This is what 2 decades of advanced training looks like. 800-meter targets barely visible. Small dark circles against distant hillside. Sarah studies them with focused intensity. Her lips move, barely audible whisper the directional microphone catches. Wind speed 3 knots northeast, temperature 91, humidity 67. Morrison's hand tightens on binoculars. Environmental assessment, advanced level, requires training far beyond basic marksmanship. Brennan stops pacing, he heard it. What did you say? Sarah's response is immediate. Nothing, Staff Sergeant. But Morrison heard it, Hayes heard it, the microphone recorded it. Professional level analysis. The kind taught in advanced sniper schools. Brennan moves closer, voice carrying menace. Let me ask you something, Mitchell. Where did you serve before this? This is my first assignment, Staff Sergeant. First assignment, skepticism drips from every word. And where exactly did you learn wind assessment like a trained sniper? Sarah pauses. Fractional, barely noticeable. She's deciding how much to reveal. Basic training covered environmental factors, Staff Sergeant. Brennan scoffs. Basic training. Right. Basic training doesn't teach 800-meter assessment. Who's coaching you? Crowd presses closer, sensing drama. No one's coaching me, Staff Sergeant. Brennan's face darkens. Her calm confidence reads as insubordination, challenge, disrespect. He won't tolerate it. Not in front of 53 witnesses. Morrison pulls out radio. Gunny, get down there. This is about to go sideways. Too late. Brennan's voice cuts across the range. Maybe we need to make this more interesting. He addresses full crowd. Mitchell thinks she's special. Let's give her a special challenge. Theatrical pause. If Princess can hit 7 out of 10 at 800 meters with that piece of junk, I'll personally recommend her for advanced sniper training. Another pause. But when she fails, and she will fail, she gets reassigned to administrative duty. Permanently. Stakes hang in air like cordite smoke. Emma Carson's face shows recognition. Horror. She's seen this before. Watched her mother face same impossible choice. Pass the rig test or accept career destruction. History repeating. Sarah continues preparation. Field Strips magazine. Examine spring tension. Professional movements suggesting advanced armorer training. Brennan circles closer. Getting nervous, sweetheart? Realizing you're in over your head? Sarah looks up. Green eyes meet his stare without flinching. Staff Sergeant, may I have permission to speak freely? Morrison freezes. This is it. Whatever happens next changes everything. Brennan's eyebrows rise, surprised, intrigued. Trainees asking to speak freely usually means apology, or begging, or something confirming his authority. Permission granted. Sarah stands, damaged rifle still in hands. She faces Brennan directly. Crowd falls silent, the kind before thunder, before explosions, before everything changes. Sarah's voice is calm, quiet, certain. You're going to regret this. Words hit Brennan like rounds on target. In his career, no one has ever spoken to him with such quiet certainty. Not a threat, not a boast. A statement of fact. Morrison watches Brennan's face through binoculars. Disbelief, confusion, then rage. Pure rage. Face turns red, then purple. Veins stand out on neck. Hands clench into fists. The audacity. This woman, this supposed trainee, speaking to him like she knows something he doesn't. In front of 53 witnesses. In front of peers. In front of junior Marines who need to see absolute authority. His voice drops. Dangerous. What did you just say to me? Sarah doesn't back down, doesn't lower eyes, doesn't show fear. I said you're going to regret this, Staff Sergeant. Dead silence. Even wind stops. Everyone understands they're witnessing something unprecedented. Something talked about for years. Brennan steps closer, using his frame to intimidate, his presence, his size, his authority. Sarah doesn't move, doesn't flinch, doesn't give an inch. Brennan's control shatters. His hand shoots out, grabs Sarah's gray t-shirt at the shoulder. Fabric is thin from years of wear. When he yanks hard, it tears with sharp ripping sound echoing across silent range. Time freezes. 53 pairs of eyes lock onto Sarah's exposed shoulder. Something dark visible beneath torn fabric. Intricate, deliberate, unmistakable. A tattoo. Morrison zooms binoculars tight. Even at distance, he can make out distinctive outline. Scout sniper badge. Crossed rifles over globe and anchor. Surrounded by 3 small stars arranged like constellation. 3 stars. Morrison's whisper barely audible. 3 stars. 3 legendary missions. Each one thought impossible until she proved otherwise. Crowd below hasn't processed it yet. Still caught in shock of physical aggression. Still trying to understand why this moment feels different. Sarah looks down at torn shirt, then back at Brennan. Expression unchanged. Calm, composed. If anything, she seems relieved. Weight lifted. Now you've done it. Voice quiet, almost gentle. Brennan stares at exposed tattoo. Brain struggling to process what eyes show. Scout sniper emblem unmistakable. But 3 stars, something he's never seen. Something not existing in any regulation he knows. Morrison is already moving. Climbing down from observation tower with urgency from understanding magnitude of revelation. Boots hit concrete with heavy thuds. Weathered face set in grim lines. Colonel insignia catching sunlight. Chest full of ribbons from wars spanning decades. He strides toward firing line. Voice cuts across range like divine command. Brennan, stand down immediately. Crowd parts. His rank, his ribbons, his presence radiating authority even Brennan recognizes. Brennan stammers. Colonel Morrison, I was just conducting training. You were just making the biggest mistake of your career. Morrison close enough now to see tattoo clearly. Suspicion confirmed. Captain Mitchell, may I see your ink? Sarah pulls torn shirt aside, fully revealing tattoo hidden beneath civilian clothing. Scout sniper emblem rendered in exquisite detail. Every line and curve precisely executed. But it's the 3 stars making Morrison's breath catch. 3 small, perfect symbols representing missions so classified that Morrison has only heard whispered rumors. Someone in crowd breathes. Is that what I think it is? Morrison looks up from tattoo to study Sarah's face. Freckles, green eyes, quiet confidence. It all fits. Small scar above left eyebrow confirms it. Barely visible unless you know to look. The kind from scope bite, from thousands of rounds fired, from pushing equipment and body to absolute limits. He knows who she is now. Not from files, from presence, from recognizing warriors when he sees them. Captain Sarah Mitchell. Not a question. Sarah comes to attention. Colonel Morrison, sir. Confirmation hits like physical wave. Conversations start and stop as people process. Junior Marines don't understand significance, but senior NCOs and instructors stare with awe and growing respect. Emma Carson's face shows something else. Recognition. She knows this name. Her mother spoke it before she died. Spoke about a female Marine who made it, who proved it was possible, who survived when system tried to break her. Emma's mother told her, if Sarah Mitchell can do it, so can you. Now the legend stands 10 feet away. Emma understands why she's really here. Brennan looks between Morrison and Sarah, still struggling to understand. Colonel, I don't understand. Who is she? Morrison turns to face Brennan. For first time in his career, Brennan sees something in Superior's eyes that terrifies him. Disappointment so profound it feels like physical judgment. Morrison's voice is formal, cold, final. Staff Sergeant Brennan, meet Captain Sarah Mitchell. 127 confirmed kills across 4 classified deployments. The only female Marine ever to graduate first in her class from Scout Sniper School. Pause, let it sink in. The operator they call Ghost. The sniper who holds 3 legendary mission records. Each star on her chest represents a mission most experts considered impossible. Missions that saved hundreds of American lives. Silence so complete that distant traffic sounds unnaturally loud. Brennan's face goes through expressions. Disbelief, recognition, dawning horror of career-ending mistake. Voice weak, desperate. But she's just a trainee. Morrison's response measured. Each word chosen for impact. She's here because the Commandant personally requested she evaluate our advanced marksmanship program. She's been observing training methods for 2 weeks, gathering data on instructor competency and training effectiveness. Implications sink in. Sarah hasn't been trainee subject to Brennan's authority. She's been observer evaluating his performance. Every insult documented. Every moment of disrespect recorded. Every display of bias witnessed by someone whose report goes directly to highest levels of Marine Corps leadership. Brennan's whisper, barely audible. Oh no. Then louder. Oh no. Oh no. Behind them, a new voice cuts through. Captain Derek Hastings pushes through crowd. Phone in hand. Face showing panic, barely controlled by professional mask. Colonel Morrison, I need you to suspend this evaluation immediately. Morrison doesn't turn. Captain Hastings, you're interrupting a training evolution. This evaluation needs to stop before careers are destroyed. I have Senator Graham's office on the line. They're demanding explanation. Morrison finally turns, full attention on Hastings. Crowd goes silent again. This is more than instructor discipline now. This is institutional crisis. Morrison's voice carries across range. Captain, are you attempting to interfere with a lawful investigation ordered by the Commandant of the Marine Corps? Hastings' professional mask cracks. I'm trying to prevent a political disaster that damages congressional relations. You're trying to cover up systematic bias that violates every principle this institution claims to value. Emma Carson steps forward from crowd. young face showing courage from having nothing left to lose. "Colonel Morrison, sir. Permission to speak?" Morrison nods. "Granted, Private." Emma's voice shakes but holds. "Staff Sergeant Brennan did this to my mother 4 years ago. Same tactics, same threats. Forced her out of the Corps." She pulls photo from pocket. Woman in dress blues, proud, smiling. Staff Sergeant Maria Carson, 12 years of service. Combat engineer, 2 deployments. Brennan failed her on subjective criteria until she quit. Emma's voice cracks. "She killed herself last year because she couldn't live with the shame of being driven out of the Corps she loved." Dead silence. Brennan's face goes white. Hastings tries to intervene. "Private, this isn't the time or place for..." Morrison's voice cuts like blade. "Captain Hastings, be silent or be removed." He turns to Emma. "Private Carson, would you be willing to provide sworn testimony about your mother's experience?" "Yes, sir, and I can provide 6 other names. Women Brennan drove out, women who deserve justice." Morrison turns back to Brennan. "Staff Sergeant, you're confined to quarters pending formal investigation. Master Gunny Hayes will escort you from this range." Brennan opens mouth, closes it. No words come. What can he say? How does someone apologize for systematic destruction of careers? For driving a Marine to suicide? Morrison picks up broken rifle, examines it with attention, finding every flaw. This rifle has 47% probability of catastrophic malfunction. Barrel harmonics disrupted. Gas system at 60% efficiency. Scope mounting loose enough to cause 12-inch shift at 800 meters. Eyes find Brennan's. "You handed this to a Marine as training weapon. That's not just bias. That's reckless endangerment." He sets rifle down, turns to Sarah. "Captain Mitchell, you stated willingness to demonstrate marksmanship at 800 meters. That offer still stand?" Sarah's voice professional, neutral. "Yes, sir, but I'll need functional equipment." Morrison signals Hayes. "Master Gunny, bring Captain Mitchell an M25 sniper rifle. Match-grade ammunition. Clear the range. We're about to witness something extraordinary." As Hayes moves to comply, Hastings makes last desperate attempt. "Colonel, if you proceed with this demonstration, if you validate this evaluation, there will be consequences. Political, professional, personal." Morrison faces him directly. "Captain Hastings, I've served this Corps for decades. I've watched good Marines die because someone prioritized politics over competence. I'm done with that. We proceed." He turns to address full crowd. Instructors, trainees, range safety officers, everyone who thought they were witnessing routine training. "For those who don't understand what you're witnessing, let me explain." Command voice. The kind making people stand straighter. Captain Sarah Mitchell holds the Marine Corps record for longest confirmed kill, 2,437 meters in Afghanistan, a shot most experts considered impossible. Numbers stagger comprehension. Nearly 1.5 miles. Distance where most people can't even see a human target. Morrison continues. Her 3 stars represent 3 legendary missions. Each one involved precision shooting at ranges exceeding 2,000 meters. Each one saved American lives under impossible conditions. Each one changed how we think about what's possible in combat. He pauses. The missions were classified, but those 3 stars represent approximately 300 Americans who came home because Captain Mitchell made shots that shouldn't have been possible. Sarah's expression stays neutral, but something in her eyes suggests distance. Memories of things she'd rather forget. Combat tours that don't officially exist. Weight of decisions only made by those who understand true cost of warfare. Hayes returns with pristine M25 sniper rifle. Black metal gleaming. Weapon designed for extreme precision. Sarah accepts it. Complete inspection. Bolt action check. Scope mount examination. Trigger pull test. Smooth professional movements. Muscle memory from thousands of repetitions. She speaks quietly. Wind speed 4 knots northeast. Temperature 92. Humidity 68. Barometric pressure steady. Morrison nods. Environmental assessment complete. Target set at 800 meters. You have 10 rounds, Captain. Sarah assumes prone position. Now expertise unmistakable. Every aspect textbook perfect. Body alignment. Rifle support. Breathing control. Sight picture. This is 2 decades of advanced training performed by someone who has mastered every aspect. Crowd presses forward. Best view of exceptional demonstration. Even Brennan watches despite humiliation and panic. Even Hastings stops phone calls to witness. Range falls silent. Morrison raises hand. Captain Mitchell, range is yours. Commence firing when ready. Sarah's breathing slows. 4 counts in. Natural respiratory pause. Slow trigger press. Follow through. Fundamentals every Marine learns, but refined through years of combat. Morrison watches through binoculars, waiting. First shot will prove everything, or destroy everything. Either way, nothing will be same after. Sarah's finger takes up slack on trigger. Crowd holds collective breath. Emma Carson watches with tears in eyes. This shot isn't just about marksmanship. It's about justice for her mother. It's about every woman driven out by men who confuse bias with standards. It's about proving excellence transcends assumptions. Sarah's breath releases. Trigger breaks clean. The shot that changes everything. The shot breaks clean. The sound cuts through Virginia morning like thunder announcing judgment. Sharp, precise, final. 53 people hold their breath. 800 meters downrange, a small puff of dust erupts from the target berm. The spotting scope mounted beside Morrison shows what the naked eye cannot see. Dead center. Perfect hit. Morrison's voice carries across the silent range. 1 for 1, center mass. The crowd exhales. Some didn't believe it was possible. A woman, a broken rifle story. The whole thing felt like theater, but that shot was real. Sarah chambers the next round. Bolt action, smooth, mechanical. The muscle memory of someone who has performed this action 10,000 times in training and 1,000 times when lives depended on it. Her breathing resets. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out, 4 counts hold. The rhythm of snipers. The rhythm of patience. The rhythm of death delivered with mathematical precision. Morrison watches through binoculars, studying every aspect of her form. Her body hasn't moved. Still perfectly aligned. Still perfectly positioned. This isn't luck. This is mastery. Captain Mitchell is resetting for shot 2, he announces to the crowd. His voice has changed, no longer just observing, now he's teaching. Watch her breathing control. Watch how she doesn't rush. Time means nothing when you're at this level. Only the shot matters. Emma Carson stands at the edge of the crowd, tears streaming down her face, not from sadness, from recognition. This is what her mother talked about. This is what her mother believed in. This is what her mother died for. The belief that excellence transcends everything, that competence matters more than assumptions, that a Marine is a Marine regardless of what uniform critics think they should or shouldn't wear. Sarah's second shot breaks. Morrison doesn't even need the spotting scope. 2 for 2, slight right but well within scoring rings. The mathematical precision is undeniable. 2 shots, 2 hits, at a distance where most Marines couldn't even see the targets clearly. But Morrison knows something the crowd doesn't. These warm-up shots aren't the demonstration. They're preparation. What comes next will separate this from every other shooting demonstration these Marines have witnessed. Sarah chambers her third round. Morrison makes a decision. Marines, gather closer. What you're about to witness requires context. The crowd presses forward. Even Brennan, standing under guard now, can't help but watch. Even Hastings has stopped making phone calls. Morrison's voice drops, conversational, the tone of a man sharing history around a campfire. Afghanistan, 2019, Operation Resolute Freedom, Captain Mitchell's third deployment. She'd already proven herself, already had 60 confirmed kills, already earned respect. He pauses, lets it settle. But in September of that year, she did something that changed how we think about long-range precision shooting. Something that defined her first legendary mission. The mission that earned her first star. Sarah's breathing has slowed even further. She's not listening to Morrison's narration. She's gone somewhere else. Somewhere 800 meters downrange. Somewhere that exists only in the space between heartbeats. The Taliban had a high-value target, regional commander, coordinating attacks on coalition forces. Responsible for 16 American deaths and 43 wounded. Intelligence put him in a compound in the Hindu Kush Mountains. Morrison's voice carries weight now. The weight of classified operations, of decisions made under pressure, of calculations where failure means American casualties. 2,437 meters, uphill, 40-knot crosswind, temperature differential between rifle position and target area creating mirage effects that made range estimation nearly impossible. The numbers sound impossible because they are impossible. For most people, command said no go, too difficult, reposition for closer shot. But Captain Mitchell knew something command didn't. The target was meeting with 3 other regional commanders. 4 high-value targets in one location, opportunity that wouldn't come again. Sarah's finger finds the trigger. She took the shot anyway. The rifle reports. For 7 seconds, silence. 7 seconds where physics and skill and fate dance together. 7 seconds that saved 23 Marines. Downrange, the third target shows impact. Morrison's voice is quiet, respectful. Hit confirmed. That's 3 for 3. But then something strange happens. Sarah doesn't chamber the next round immediately. She goes still, perfectly still. Morrison recognizes it, the 1,000-yard stare, not from distance, from time, from memory. She's back there. Afghanistan. Hindu Kush Mountains, September 2019. The first legendary mission that earned her first star. Flashback Afghanistan, September 2019. Hindu Kush Mountains. Captain Sarah Mitchell lies in a hide position carved into rock. 22 years old. Third deployment, 60 kills. Still has something to prove to everyone who doubts. Her spotter, Corporal James Rivera, scans through the spotting scope. Ghost, wind's too strong. Command says abort and reposition. Sarah doesn't move. Doesn't acknowledge. She's calculating. Wind speed, 40 knots. But not constant. Gusting. Which means timing matters more than compensation. Temperature at her position, 98 degrees. Temperature at target area, higher elevation, 84 degrees. Temperature differential creates mirage, creates uncertainty. Range, 2,437 meters, 1.36 miles. Bullet drop at that distance, over 60 feet. The round will arc like a rainbow before reaching target. Flight time, 7 seconds. In 7 seconds, wind can shift, target can move, physics can betray precision. Ghost, I'm serious. This shot is impossible. Sarah's voice is calm, empty of doubt. It's only impossible if I miss. She studies the mirage through her scope, heat waves rising from the ground between her position and target. Most snipers see mirage as interference, noise in the signal. Sarah sees it as information. The mirage shows wind patterns, shows thermals, shows exactly what the bullet will experience during its 7-second journey. Through her scope, she can see 4 men, Taliban commanders, meeting in a courtyard. The primary target stands near a wall, talking, gesturing. 2,437 meters away. Rivera's radio crackles. Ghost 6, this is command. You are not cleared for that shot. I repeat, you are not cleared. Reposition for closer engagement. Sarah doesn't respond. She's watching wind indicators, watching mirage patterns, waiting for the moment. Wind gusts in cycles. Not random. Predictable if you watch long enough. She's been watching for 14 hours. She knows the pattern. Ghost, if you take this shot without clearance, then I take responsibility for the outcome. Her breathing slows. 4-count cycle. Heart rate dropping. 60 beats per minute. 50. 40. The wind gust passes. Mirage steadies. Target stops gesturing. The moment arrives. She doesn't think about the impossibility. Doesn't think about the consequences of missing. Doesn't think about career implications of disobeying orders. She thinks about 23 Marines in a convoy that will pass through an IED kill zone tomorrow if these 4 commanders live to coordinate the attack. Her finger presses the trigger. The rifle bucks against her shoulder. The round leaves the barrel at 2,800 feet per second. For 7 seconds, the universe holds its breath. Sarah watches through her scope. Doesn't blink. Doesn't breathe. The round travels 1.36 miles. Fights 40-knot wind. Fights gravity. Fights physics itself. At 7 seconds, the primary target's head snaps back. He drops. The 3 other commanders scatter. But Sarah is already chambering the next round. Secondary target, 3 seconds. Rivera doesn't argue anymore. He's adjusting his spotting scope, calling corrections. Wind shift, 2 clicks left, half click up. Sarah adjusts, fires. Another 7-second eternity. Second target drops. Third round chambered. Tertiary target moving, 4 seconds to cover. Sarah finds him in her scope, running, panicked. Thinks distance equals safety. It doesn't. Third shot. 7 seconds. Third target drops. Rivera's voice is awed, disbelieving. 3 hits, 3 kills, 2,400 meters. That's impossible. Sarah's voice is flat, professional. Command, this is Ghost 6. 3 high-value targets eliminated, requesting immediate extraction before area becomes compromised. The radio is silent for a long moment. Then a different voice, higher authority. General officer level. Ghost 6 confirm. You engage 3 targets at 2,400 meters without clearance? Affirmative. Full responsibility is mine. Another pause. Ghost 6, intelligence indicates 4th commander was in compound. Can you confirm? Sarah scans through scope. The 4th target is visible, running toward a vehicle, about to escape. 2,437 meters. I have eyes on 4th target, requesting clearance for engagement. Ghost 6, you are cleared hot. Take the shot. Sarah finds him in her scope. This one is harder. Moving target. increasing distance, wind pattern changing. But she's made 3 impossible shots in the last 90 seconds. One more won't hurt. Fourth shot, 7 seconds. Fourth target drops. Rivera is laughing now, disbelieving laughter, the kind that comes from witnessing something that shouldn't be possible. 4 for 4. You just saved the entire operation. He stops, sees Sarah's face. She's not celebrating, not relieved, not anything. She's already calculating the cost. 4 men dead. 4 humans who woke up this morning not knowing this was their last day. 4 lives ended by decisions made 2,400 meters away by someone they never saw. The weight of it settles on her shoulders like a physical thing. Rivera sees it. Ghost, those 4 men would have killed Americans tomorrow. You saved lives. Sarah chambers a 5th round. Not to fire, just to have something to do with her hands. I know, doesn't make it lighter. The radio crackles again. Ghost 6, extraction inbound. You have 9 minutes to primary LZ. Move now. Sarah begins breaking down her position, packing equipment, erasing evidence of her presence. But she knows she'll never erase the memory of this moment. 4 shots in 90 seconds. 4 kills at impossible range. The mission that earned her first star. The achievement that will haunt her dreams. Present-day Quantico firing range. Sarah blinks. Returns to present. She's still in prone position. Still behind the rifle. But 6 years have passed since Afghanistan. 6 years of additional missions, additional kills, additional weight. Morrison's voice brings her back. Captain Mitchell, are you ready to continue? Sarah takes a breath, resets. Yes, sir, ready to continue. She chambers the 4th round. Morrison turns back to the crowd. That was mission number 1. The shot that made Captain Mitchell a legend. The mission that proved long-range precision shooting could change battles. That earned her first star. He pauses. But legends aren't built on single missions. They're built on consistency under impossible conditions. Sarah's 4th shot breaks. Hit confirmed. 4 for 4. The crowd is no longer skeptical. They're witnessing something they'll tell their grandchildren about. The day they watch the ghost shoot. Morrison continues his narration. Syria, 2017. Classified operation. This one I can't give you many details about. National security, need to know, but I can tell you this. Sarah chambers her 5th round. ISIS compound. 12 hostiles. 3 American journalists being held for ransom. Intelligence said the journalists would be executed within 24 hours. A rescue team was assembling, but needed time. Time the journalists didn't have. The 5th shot breaks. 5 for 5. Captain Mitchell and her spotter were already in position for a different mission. Different target. When the intelligence came through about the journalists, command made a decision. Sarah chambers round 6. Change of mission. New priority. But there was a problem. The crowd leans forward. The shot required shooting through a 6-inch window gap, 2,200 meters. The target was the ISIS commander giving orders to execute the journalists. Miss by 6 inches in any direction, you hit glass. Hit glass, bullet deflects. Deflected bullet could hit the hostages, could kill the people you're trying to save. The weight of that calculation settles on the crowd. Most snipers would say impossible. Too many variables, too much risk. But Captain Mitchell had already made impossible shots. This was just another problem to solve. Sarah's 6th shot breaks. 6 for 6. Morrison's voice drops. She'd been in position for 14 hours, dehydrated, exhausted. But when the call came, she didn't hesitate. That mission earned her 2nd star. Flashback Syria, March 2017. Classified location. Captain Sarah Mitchell has been lying in the same position for 14 hours. Muscles cramping. Thirst like broken glass in her throat. The Syrian sun has cooked her hide position into an oven. But she doesn't move. Movement means detection. Detection means mission failure. Mission failure means her original target escapes. Her spotter, Sergeant Marcus Chen, passes her a water tube. She takes a small sip, enough to wet her mouth, not enough to satisfy thirst. The radio crackles, encrypted, scrambled. Ghost 6, priority change, how copy? Sarah's response is quiet, barely audible. Ghost 6 copies, send it. New target package inbound. American journalists held at compound 600 meters north of your position. Intel says execution order given. Timeline 12 hours maximum. Rescue team is 4 hours out. We need you to eliminate the ISIS commander giving the execution order. Buy time for rescue. Sarah doesn't move her head, just shifts her eyes to Chen. He's already pulling up new coordinates, new target data, new calculations. Range to new target, she whispers. Chen works the numbers. 2,203 meters. Wind 7 knots southeast. Temperature 108 degrees. Target is in a room. Second floor. Window facing your position. He pauses. Window is 6 inches wide. Sarah processes this. 6-inch window at 2,200 meters. Margin of error effectively 0. Copy. What's the risk to hostages? Chen pulls up overhead imagery on his tablet. Hostages are in the same room, southwest corner. Target is northeast corner. You hit glass, bullet deflects unpredictably, could hit anyone. So this isn't just a precision shot. This is a precision shot with American lives as collateral if she misses. Ghost 6, we understand if you assess this as too high risk. We can wait for rescue team, but the hostages might not survive 12 hours. Sarah studies the target building through her scope. Second floor window, 6 inches wide. She can barely see it. 2,200 meters. She's made shots at this range before, but never through a gap this small. Never with this much at stake. Ghost 6, what's your assessment? Sarah watches the window, watches mirage patterns, watches wind indicators. 14 hours in position means 14 hours of watching, of learning, of understanding how wind moves in this specific location at this specific time of day. She knows the patterns now, knows the thermals, knows the variables, but knowing and executing are different things. Chen, what's your read? Her spotter doesn't answer immediately. He's calculating. Probability, risk, outcome. Finally, he speaks. I think you can make in the shot. I also think the risk to hostages is real. This is above my pay grade, Ghost. Sarah appreciates the honesty. This decision is hers alone. Make the shot. Save 3 journalists if successful. Kill them if you miss. Wait for rescue team. Hope the journalists survive 12 more hours in ISIS captivity. She thinks about probability. She thinks about variables. She thinks about 3 Americans who woke up this morning not knowing if they'd live to see tomorrow. Then she stops thinking and starts calculating. Wind speed, 7 knots, but gusting, pattern every 40 seconds. Temperature, 108, creating mirage, creating uncertainty. Distance, 2,203 meters. Window width, 6 inches. Bullet diameter, 0.308 inches. Margin of error, less than 3 inches in any direction. At 2,200 meters. Command Ghost 6, I assess this shot as feasible, requesting clearance to engage. Silence on the radio. Longer than usual. Someone at command is making the same calculation she just made. Finally, a response. Different voice, higher authority. Ghost 6, this is actual. You are cleared to engage at your discretion. Time is critical. Those journalists have families waiting for them. Do what you do best. Sarah shifts position slightly, aligns her rifle, checks scope 0. Chen, I need perfect wind call, perfect range, perfect everything. You got it. For the next 30 minutes, they don't talk, just watch, learning the environment, understanding the variables. Sarah's thirst is forgotten. Her cramping muscles are forgotten. Everything is forgotten except the 6-inch window and the man standing inside it. Through her scope, she can see him. ISIS commander, giving orders, gesturing. 3 American journalists sit against the wall behind him, bound, terrified. Sarah watches the commander's pattern. He moves in cycles, paces, stops near the window, talks for 90 seconds, paces again. Every 4 minutes, he stops at the window. For 90 seconds, that's the window of opportunity. Literal and figurative. Chen, next time he stops at the window, I'm taking the shot. Copy. Wind is steady right now. 7 knots, no gusts. Mirage is predictable. This is as good as it gets. Sarah controls her breathing. 4-count cycle, heart rate dropping. The commander paces, stops, paces again. Returns to the window, stops. 90 seconds starts now. Sarah's crosshairs find him through the 6-inch gap. Wind is steady. Mirage is predictable. Range is confirmed. Send it. The shot breaks. For 7 seconds, physics determines fate. Sarah doesn't blink, watches through scope. At 7 seconds, the commander's head snaps back. He drops. The journalists don't move, don't understand what happened. Chen's voice is quiet, awed. Hit confirmed, through the window. Perfect shot. Sarah chambers another round. Doesn't celebrate. Command, this is Ghost 6. Target eliminated. Recommend immediate rescue launch. Hostages are vulnerable until secured. Ghost 6, rescue is inbound. ETA 4 hours. You just saved 3 American lives. Well done. 3 American lives saved. But Sarah knows the cost. 1 more human dead by her hand. 1 more face she'll see in dreams. The second star earned in blood. Chen sees her face. Ghost, that was an impossible shot. I just killed another human being. Don't make it more than that. You saved 3 Americans. I know, doesn't make it lighter. She begins breaking down her position. Mission complete. Time to leave before ISIS discovers their commander is dead. But as she packs equipment, she sees something that will haunt her for years. Through her scope, the 3 journalists are standing now, confused, frightened. One of them moves to the window, looks out at the landscape, looking towards Sarah's position. They don't know she's there, don't know she just saved their lives, don't know that for 90 seconds their fate balanced on a 6-inch window in a 2,200-meter shot. Better that way. Some gifts are too heavy to accept knowingly. Present-day Quantico firing range. Sarah blinks again, returns to present. 6th shot complete, 6 for 6. Morrison's narration continues. That shot ended a hostage crisis, saved 3 American journalists who returned home to their families. Each one of them alive because Captain Mitchell made a shot most experts said was impossible. He pauses. That earned star number 2. Sarah Chambers, the 7th round. The crowd is silent now. Reverent. They understand they're not just watching marksmanship. They're watching history. Emma Carson has stopped crying. Now she's just watching, learning, understanding what her mother believed in. This is what competence looks like. This is what excellence looks like. This is what the Corps is supposed to value above everything else. Sarah's 7th shot breaks. 7 for 7. Morrison nods. Outstanding shooting. 3 shots remaining. But the story isn't complete yet. He turns back to the crowd. Iraq, 2016. This one changed everything for Captain Mitchell. This one made her the ghost. This mission earned her 3rd star. Sarah Chambers, round 8. Morrison's voice carries weight. Counter-sniper operation. Her spotter had been killed by enemy fire. She was alone, pinned down. An enemy sniper had her position ranged. Every time she moved, rounds came close, too close. The crowd leans forward. Most Marines would call for extraction, wait for support. But Captain Mitchell had a team depending on her, a team that would be vulnerable if she left her position. Sarah's breathing has changed. This memory is different, more painful, more personal. She couldn't see the enemy's sniper, couldn't range him with her equipment. All she had was muzzle flash and sound, and the knowledge that if she didn't eliminate him, her team would die. Sarah's 8th shot breaks. 8 for 8. But Morrison sees her hands shaking slightly as she chambers round 9. This memory cost more than the others. Flashback Iraq. August 2016, Mosul outskirts. Captain Sarah Mitchell lies behind her rifle. Blood on her hands. Not hers. Corporal David Torres lies 3 feet away. Dead. Killed by counter-sniper 30 seconds ago. Round through the head. Instant. No suffering. But Sarah watched it happen. Watched her spotter. Her friend. The man who'd saved her life twice. Killed by a shooter she can't see. The enemy sniper is good. Really good. Position is concealed. Range is unknown. But every time Sarah moves, rounds impact close. Too close. He has her ranged. She doesn't have him ranged. That's a problem. Her radio crackles. Team leader, Sergeant First Class Mike Powell. Ghost, we need to move. We're pinned down. Can't advance until you clear that sniper. Sarah's voice is tight, controlled. Working on it. Ghost, Torres is... I know. Focus on your team. I'll handle the sniper. She disconnects. Needs to concentrate. The enemy sniper fires again. Round impacts 2 feet from her position. Rock fragments spray her face. One cuts her eyebrow. Blood runs into her eye. She wipes it away. Watches for muzzle flash. There. Maybe. Distance unknown. Elevation unknown. Wind unknown. All she has is a split second of light from muzzle flash and the sound delay between shot and impact. Speed of sound is 1,100 feet per second. If she can time the delay, she can estimate range. She waits. The enemy sniper fires again, trying to suppress her. Keep her pinned. The muzzle flash is barely visible, but it's there. Sarah counts in her head. Flash, 1001, 1002. Impact, 2 seconds. Sound traveled 2,200 feet. Range is approximately 2,200 feet, approximately 700 meters. But that's just distance. She still can't see the target, can't confirm position, can't verify elevation. All she knows is direction and approximate range. Most snipers would say impossible. You can't shoot what you can't see. But Sarah Mitchell isn't most snipers. She studies the area where muzzle flash originated. Rocky terrain, lots of positions, lots of cover. but only a few positions offer good angle on her location and good cover from return fire. She narrows it down. 3 possible positions. The enemy sniper fires again. Flash. Same location. So he's not moving. Confident in his position. Confident he's invisible. Sarah makes a decision. She's going to shoot at a target she can't see, at a range she's estimated by sound, with variables she can't confirm. This is either genius or suicide. The radio crackles. Ghost, we're taking fire. We need that sniper down, now. 30 seconds. Sarah shifts position, aligns her rifle on the most likely hide position, calculates elevation based on terrain analysis, estimates wind based on mirage and vegetation movement. Then she does something that will become legend. She fires 3 rounds, rapid succession, each aimed at a different possible hide position, at 700 meters. At targets she cannot see. 3 shots in 8 seconds. Then silence. She waits, watches for return fire. Nothing. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. 30 seconds. The radio crackles. Ghost, enemy fire has stopped. Did you get him? Sarah doesn't know, can't confirm, can't verify. But the fact that he is not shooting anymore suggests one of her 3 rounds found him. Possibly. Stay alert, could be playing dead. She maintains position for another 10 minutes. Watching. Waiting. No fire comes. Finally, Powell's team advances, clears the area, finds the enemy sniper. Dead. 1 round through the chest. Powell's voice on this radio is awed. Ghost, you killed a target you couldn't even see. How the hell? Sarah doesn't answer. She's looking at Torres, her spotter, her friend. Dead because she wasn't fast enough, smart enough, good enough. The enemy sniper is dead, but so is Torres. The math doesn't balance. Powell reaches her position, sees Torres, sees Sarah's face. Ghost, this isn't on you. Torres knew the risks. We all do. Sarah's voice is flat, empty. I should have seen the sniper first. Should have eliminated him before Torres was exposed. You can't predict everything. I'm a sniper. Prediction is the job. She begins packing her equipment. Mechanical, automatic. Powell watches her, concerned. Ghost, you just made 3 impossible shots. Killed a sniper you couldn't see. Saved the entire team. And lost my spotter. You didn't lose him. The enemy killed him. There's a difference. Sarah knows he's right. Intellectually. But guilt doesn't respond to logic. She failed to protect Torres. That failure will haunt her. Even if the 3 shots she made afterwards saved lives. Even if the mission succeeded. Even if she did everything right. Torres is still dead. And she's still alive. That's the weight snipers carry. The math that never balances. The 3rd star earned in grief. Present-day Quantico firing range. Sarah fires the 9th shot. 9 for 9. But Morrison sees the cost on her face. The memory of Torres. The guilt that never fades. He recognizes it. He's carried similar weight for decades. Morrison's voice is gentle now, respectful. That engagement made Captain Mitchell a legend. The sniper who could shoot targets she couldn't see. The ghost who could be anywhere, see everything, eliminate threats before they knew she existed. He pauses. But it also taught her that victory has a price. Every shot has consequences. Every mission has a cost. That mission earned her 3rd star. Sarah chambers the 10th round. Final shot. But instead of aiming at the 10th target on the standard array, she shifts her point of aim. Morrison sees it through his binoculars. Captain Mitchell, what are you aiming at? Sarah's voice is quiet but clear. Range marker 7 Alpha, 2-inch target at 815 meters. The crowd murmurs. That's not a target. That's a calibration marker. Tiny, reflective. Designed for range setup, not shooting. Morrison understands. She's proving a point. 9 perfect shots demonstrated competence. This final shot will demonstrate mastery. Captain, that's an extremely difficult shot. Yes, sir, but Staff Sergeant Brennan questioned my capabilities. I'd like to remove all doubt. Morrison almost smiles. Proceed, Captain. Sarah's breathing slows to near stopping. Her body becomes perfectly still. The rifle an extension of will rather than separate equipment. 6 years of training, combat experience, natural talent, all converging into a single moment of perfect focus. The 10th shot breaks. 815 meters downrange, the tiny range marker disappears in a puff of dust and debris as the bullet finds its mark with mathematical precision. Morrison's voice carries across the now silent range. 10 for 10, including precision shot on a 2-inch target at 815 meters. That, Marines, is what expert-level marksmanship looks like. The crowd erupts, not in cheers, in something deeper. Respect, awe, understanding that they've witnessed something they'll remember forever. Even Brennan stands frozen, his face showing horror mixed with unwilling admiration. Even Hastings has stopped trying to make calls. Emma Carson is crying again, but this time from hope, from understanding that change is possible. Morrison walks to where Sarah is standing. She's cleared the rifle, made it safe, set it aside. He offers his hand. She takes it. Captain Mitchell, that was the finest shooting demonstration I've seen in decades of service. Thank you, sir. But we both know this wasn't just about shooting. Sarah meets his eyes. No, sir. It was about proving that competence transcends assumptions, that excellence has no gender, that a Marine is a Marine. Morrison nods. Message received, message documented. Now comes the hard part. Sir? Turning this moment into institutional change. Demonstrations are impressive, but they don't reform broken systems. Sarah understands. What do you need from me? Everything you've documented over 2 weeks. Every incident, every moment of bias, every safety violation. We're building a case that will survive lawyers and politicians and senators protecting their friends. He turns to Hayes. Master Gunny, escort Staff Sergeant Brennan to the brig. Formal charges pending. Hayes moves to comply. Brennan doesn't resist. The fight has gone out of him. As Hayes leads Brennan away, Morrison turns to Hastings. Captain Hastings, you're relieved of duties pending investigation. Report to the Provost Marshal immediately. Hastings' face goes white. Colonel, I was following senatorial guidance. You were obstructing a lawful investigation. That's a crime, Captain. Report to the Provost Marshal, or I'll have you arrested where you stand. Hastings leaves, his career ending in real time. Morrison turns back to the assembled Marines. Training is suspended for the remainder of the day. All personnel will report to the auditorium at 1400 hours for formal briefing on training standards and evaluation protocols. Dismissed. The crowd disperses slowly, still processing, still discussing what they witnessed. Emma Carson approaches Sarah, hesitant, uncertain. Ma'am, I wanted to thank you. Sarah sees the family resemblance now. Maria Carson's daughter, carrying her mother's legacy. You don't need to thank me, Private. I'm just doing my job. My mother believed in what you proved today. She believed excellence matters more than bias. She died believing the system would never change. Emma's voice cracks. But you just changed it. Sarah sees the pain, the hope, the desperate need to believe her mother's death meant something. Private Carson, your mother's death was a tragedy. What happened to her was wrong. What this evaluation will prove is that it wasn't an isolated incident. It was systemic failure. She pauses. The system didn't kill your mother, but the system failed to protect her. And that failure ends now. Emma stands straighter. Ma'am, I want to testify about what happened, about what Brennan did. You'll get that chance, but it won't be easy. Defense lawyers will try to discredit you. Politicians will try to protect Brennan. Media will try to make this about everything except competence and standards. I don't care. My mother deserves justice. Sarah sees herself at 21. Idealistic, determined, not yet carrying the weight of 127 kills. Justice isn't always satisfying, Private. Sometimes it's just bureaucracy and paperwork and watching bad people receive insufficient punishment. But it's better than nothing. Sarah nods. Yes, it is. Morrison approaches, tablet in hand. Captain Mitchell, we have a problem. What kind? Captain Hastings made several phone calls before I relieved him. Senator Graham's office is sending lawyers. They'll be here within 2 hours. Sarah processes this. They're going to try to shut down the investigation. More than that, they're going to try to discredit you, attack your credibility, argue that this evaluation was politically motivated. Then we need evidence that speaks for itself, evidence that doesn't depend on my testimony. Morrison nods, which is why we need to move fast, before lawyers arrive, before evidence disappears, before witnesses are intimidated. He turns to Hayes, who has returned from the brig. Master Gunny, I need you to secure Staff Sergeant Brennan's office, everything. Files, computers, personal effects, nothing leaves that office without documentation. Yes, sir. Hayes moves quickly. Morrison turns to Sarah. Captain, I need everything you've documented. Every note, every recording, every piece of evidence. We're building the case right now. Today, before political pressure has time to build. Sarah pulls out her tablet, encrypted, backed up to multiple secure servers. I have 14 days of observations, 23 incidents of documented bias, 8 safety violations, 17 witness statements. She pauses. And 1 recording that's going to end Captain Hastings' career. Morrison raises an eyebrow. Recording? Sarah plays audio file. Hastings' voice, clear, undeniable. This is political reality, Colonel. Senator Graham's nephew serves under SMS Jake Brennan. The senator has made clear that any investigation reflecting poorly on the program reflects poorly on his family's military service. Morrison's face shows grim satisfaction. That's obstruction of justice, abuse of authority, possibly conspiracy. Yes, sir, and it's all documented, time-stamped, authenticated. Morrison takes the tablet. Captain, this recording's just changed everything. We're not just prosecuting Brennan anymore. We're prosecuting institutional corruption. He looks at the evidence. This is going to go higher than Quantico, higher than Training Command. This is going to the Secretary of Defense. Sarah understands the implications. Sir, that means more scrutiny, more attention, more pressure to make this go away quietly. Which is exactly why we need to move fast. Document everything. Secure all evidence. Get witness statements on record before lawyers start advising people to stay silent. He pulls out his phone. General Thornton needs to know what we have. She needs to know Senator Graham is involved. She needs to prepare for the firestorm. As Morrison makes the call, Hayes returns. Colonel, Brennan's office is secured, but you need to see what we found. Morrison and Sarah follow Hayes to the instructor building. Brennan's office is small, utilitarian, photos on the desk. His sister Emily in dress blues, proud, smiling, dead at 24. But Hayes isn't pointing at the photos. He's pointing at a locked filing cabinet. Sir, this cabinet was locked. Required bolt cutters to access, legal under emergency circumstances. Morrison nods. What's inside? Hayes opens the cabinet. Files, dozens of them. Personnel files, evaluation records, complaint forms, all marked with one thing in common: female Marines. Sarah picks up the first file, reads it. Her expression darkens. These are systematically lowered evaluation scores. All female Marines, all within the past 4 years. She picks up another file. Harassment complaints filed with Hastings' office, all marked insufficient evidence and closed without investigation. Morrison examines a third file. His face shows controlled rage. These are forged medical evaluations, documenting supposed physical limitations that would disqualify Marines from advanced training. He looks at Hayes. How many files? 47, sir, spanning 4 years, 12 bases. The scope is staggering. This isn't one instructor at one base. This is coordinated, institutional, a network. Sarah's voice is quiet, deadly. Brennan wasn't working alone. This required cooperation across multiple installations, multiple instructors, multiple JAG officers willing to ignore complaints. Morrison pulls out his phone again. General Thornton needs to see this now, before these files disappear, before people start destroying evidence. As he makes the call, Sarah continues reading files. Each one is a career destroyed, a Marine driven out, a talent wasted because someone decided gender mattered more than competence. 47 files, 47 careers, 47 Marines who served honorably and were betrayed by the institution they trusted. Emma Carson appears in the doorway. Ma'am, is it true? Are those files about Marines like my mother? Sarah looks up, sees the hope and pain on Emma's face. Yes, Private. These files document systematic discrimination spanning 4 years and 12 installations. Emma's voice cracks. So my mother wasn't alone. She wasn't the only one. No, she was one of 47 that we know about, probably more that aren't documented. Emma steps into the office, looks at the files. Can I see my mother's file? Sarah hesitates. These files contain painful details, allegations, accusations, the systematic destruction of a career. Private, these files are evidence. They're not. Please, I need to know what they did to her. Sarah finds Maria Carson's file, hands it to Emma. Emma reads in silence, her face showing recognition, pain, anger. Finally, she speaks. They lied about her, said she failed physical standards she exceeded, said she showed incompetence in areas where she excelled, said she was a safety risk when her record was perfect. Tears streamed down her face. They destroyed her with lies. And she believed them. She believed she wasn't good enough. Sarah's voice is gentle. Your mother was good enough. These files prove it. They prove she was driven out by systematic bias, not legitimate standards. Emma looks up. Will this be enough to prove what they did, to get justice? Morrison answers. Private, these files are smoking gun evidence. Combined with Captain Mitchell's observations and the recorded obstruction by Captain Hastings, we have a case that will survive any legal challenge. He pauses. But justice takes time. Investigations, trials, appeals. The people responsible will fight every step. I don't care how long it takes. I want them to answer for what they did to my mother. Morrison nods. They will, I promise you that. His phone rings. General Thornton. Morrison answers, puts it on speaker. Thornton's voice is clipped, urgent. Hawk, I just got a call from the Secretary of Defense. Senator Graham is demanding the evaluation be terminated, demanding that Captain Mitchell be removed from Quantico, demanding that all evidence be sealed pending Senate oversight. Morrison's voice is hard. Ma'am, with respect, the senator can demand whatever he wants. We have evidence of systematic corruption. We have 47 documented cases. We have recorded obstruction. This investigation continues. The senator is threatening to hold hearings, to subpoena witnesses, to make this a political circus. Then let him. We have truth on our side. We have evidence. We have Marines willing to testify. Thornton is silent for a moment. Then her voice changes, determined. Agreed, we proceed. But Hawk, this is going to get ugly. Prepare yourself. Prepare Captain Mitchell. Prepare everyone involved. We're prepared, ma'am. Good, because in 2 hours, Senator Graham's lawyers arrive, and they're not coming to ask questions. They're coming to shut you down. Morrison looks at Sarah and Hayes. Then we better make sure everything is documented, secured, and ready for legal review before they get here. He ends the call, turns to Sarah. Captain, we have 2 hours to build an airtight case. 2 hours before lawyers try to bury this. 2 hours to make sure 47 Marines get justice. Sarah nods. Then let's get to work. 2 hours. That's all they have before Senator Graham's lawyers arrive, before political machinery starts grinding, before truth gets buried under procedure and privilege. Morrison moves like a man half his age. 62 years and decades of service don't slow him down when justice is on the line. Hayes, I need copies of every file. Triple redundancy, digital, physical, off-site backup. If these disappear, careers end. Hayes is already moving, coordinating with legal staff, with IT specialists, with people who understand that evidence preservation is the foundation of prosecution. Sarah works through her documentation. 14 days of observation compressed into evidentiary format, each incident time-stamped, each witness identified, each violation categorized. This isn't just a report. This is a blueprint for institutional reform. Emma Carson stands in the doorway, still holding her mother's file, face showing determination that comes from having nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. Ma'am, what can I do? Sarah looks up, sees the young Marine who joined the Corps for one reason: to prove her mother was right, to honor a legacy destroyed by systematic bias. Private, I need you to document everything you witnessed over the past 6 months. Every interaction with Staff Sergeant Brennan, every moment of discrimination, every time you saw the system fail. Yes, ma'am. And Private, this needs to be precise. Defense lawyers will try to discredit you. They'll say you're emotional. They'll say you're biased because of your mother. They'll attack everything except the facts. Emma's voice is steady. Then I'll give them facts they can't attack. She moves to a computer terminal, begins typing. Morrison's phone rings. General Thornton. Hawk, the lawyers just left D.C. ETA 90 minutes. They're bringing a federal judge. They're going to try for an injunction to halt the investigation. Morrison's jaw tightens. On what grounds? National security. They're claiming the investigation jeopardizes sensitive congressional oversight relationships, that it damages military readiness by creating political distraction. That's nonsense, and they know it. Of course it is. But a federal judge can issue an injunction based on preliminary arguments. We need to be ready to defend the investigation in court within hours. Morrison looks at the evidence spread across 3 desks, 47 files, 14 days of documentation, recorded obstruction, systematic corruption spanning 4 years and 12 installations. General, we have enough evidence to prosecute a conspiracy. We have documented safety violations. We have Marines willing to testify. No judge is going to shut this down once they see what we have. Then make sure the judge sees it. Organize everything. Build the strongest case possible. Because if we lose the injunction hearing, this investigation dies before it starts. Morrison ends the call, turns to Sarah and Hayes. 75 minutes until lawyers arrive. We need a presentation package. Everything organized, everything documented, everything ready for legal review. Sarah is already creating the file structure. Sir, I recommend we organize by category. Safety violations first. Those are non-political. Pure negligence. Then systematic bias. Then obstruction. Build from concrete to complex. Morrison nods. Good. Hayes, pull the safety violations. I want photos, technical analysis, expert testimony. Make it impossible to dismiss. Hayes moves to comply. The next 70 minutes are controlled chaos. Evidence compiled, witness statements recorded, technical reports prepared, legal precedents researched. Sarah works with focused intensity. This is familiar territory. Planning, preparation, ensuring every variable is controlled before engagement. The only difference is the enemy isn't downrange. The enemy is bureaucracy, politics, the machinery of institutions protecting themselves from accountability. At 60 minutes remaining, Hayes brings the compiled safety violations. 8 incidents, each documented with photos and technical analysis. The duct tape rifle that Brennan gave Sarah, gas system at 60% efficiency, 47% catastrophic failure probability. Range safety violations, live fire exercises conducted without proper medical support, without proper communication equipment, without proper supervision. Equipment maintenance failures, rifles with worn barrels, scopes with broken mounts, ammunition stored improperly. Each violation is supported by expert analysis from Marine Corps armorers, from safety inspectors, from people whose job is keeping Marines alive during training. Morrison reviews the package. This is solid, no political angle, just pure negligence. This alone justifies the investigation. Sarah adds her systematic bias documentation. 23 incidents over 14 days, each one showing gender-based discrimination, each one documented with timestamps and witnesses. Female Marines graded harder than male Marines with identical performance. Female Marines assigned additional duties that interfered with training. Female Marines subjected to demeaning language and hostile environment. The pattern is undeniable. Finally, Sarah adds the obstruction evidence. Captain Hastings' recorded statement, email from Senator Graham's office, documentation of complaints closed without investigation. Morrison reviews everything. This is prosecution-grade evidence. This survives any legal challenge. At 30 minutes remaining, they hear vehicles arriving, multiple vehicles. The lawyers are early. Morrison looks out the window. 3 SUVs, federal plates, at least 8 people emerging, suits and briefcases in the kind of confidence that comes from never losing. Here we go. The lead attorney enters first, Bradford Hastings. No relation to Captain Hastings, but same cultivated air of superiority. 60 years old, partner at a firm that represents senators and cabinet members. Behind him, a federal judge, Magistrate Jennifer Reeves, 48. Reputation for fairness, but also for respecting institutional authority. Morrison stands, military courtesy even when facing adversaries. Mr. Hastings, Judge Reeves, welcome to Quantico. Bradford Hastings doesn't waste time on pleasantries. Colonel Morrison, we're here to inform you that we're seeking an emergency injunction to halt this investigation. We'll be filing with Judge Reeves within the hour. Morrison's voice is calm. On what grounds? National security, congressional privilege, improper investigative procedures. Take your pick. Judge Reeves intervenes. Her voice is professional, neutral. Colonel Morrison, I'm here as a courtesy to review the situation before making any rulings. Can you explain the nature and scope of this investigation? Morrison gestures to the conference room. Judge Reeves, I'd be happy to brief you, but I should inform you that what you're about to see constitutes evidence of systematic corruption, criminal obstruction, and safety violations that endanger Marine lives. Hastings scoffs. That's dramatic language, Colonel. My client, Senator Graham, has serious concerns about politically motivated witch hunts targeting decorated Marines. Sarah speaks for the first time. Your client's nephew serves under one of the Marines being investigated. That's not political concern, that's personal interest. Hastings turns to her. And you are? Captain Sarah Mitchell, the officer conducting the evaluation that uncovered this corruption. Recognition flashes across Hastings' face. He's done his research. Ah, yes. The sniper, very impressive demonstration this morning, though some might question whether personal glory was the motivation rather than legitimate evaluation. Morrison steps between them. Mr. Hastings, Captain Mitchell is a decorated combat veteran with 127 confirmed kills. She doesn't need glory, she has plenty. He turns to Judge Reeves. Your Honor, may we proceed with the briefing? Judge Reeves nods. They move to the conference room. Morrison projects the first slide. Safety violations. Photo of the duct tape rifle. Technical analysis showing catastrophic failure probability. Judge Reeves leans forward, studying the image. Colonel, is this weapon standard training equipment? No, Your Honor. This weapon was given to Captain Mitchell as a deliberate attempt to humiliate her. The The weapon is unsafe, unusable. A Marine firing this weapon risks serious injury. Hastings interrupts. Your Honor, training often involves challenging equipment. This is standard procedure. Sarah responds. Mr. Hastings, I've trained at Scout Sniper School. I've trained at advanced marksmanship courses worldwide. I've never seen a weapon this damaged used for anything except demonstration of what not to do. She pulls up the technical analysis. This weapon has a 47% probability of catastrophic malfunction. That means approximately half the time, firing this weapon results in injury to the shooter. That's not training, that's reckless endangerment. Judge Reeves makes notes. Continue, Colonel. Morrison shows the next slides. 7 additional safety violations, each one documented, each one supported by expert testimony. By slide 5, Judge Reeves' expression has changed from skeptical to concerned. Morrison moves to systematic bias evidence. 23 incidents, patterns showing consistent discrimination against female Marines. Performance evaluations showing gender disparity. Female Marines graded lower despite superior objective performance. Training opportunities denied to qualified female Marines while less qualified male Marines advanced. Hostile environment created through demeaning language and unfair treatment. Judge Reeves studies the data. Colonel, this shows a pattern, but patterns can have legitimate explanations. How do you rule out the possibility that female Marines in this program actually performed worse? Sarah responds, Your Honor, I have test scores, qualification results, objective measurements. Female Marines in this program averaged 12% higher on written exams, 8% higher on physical fitness tests, 6% higher on rifle qualification. She pulls up comparative data, yet their performance evaluations averaged 18% lower than male Marines. The only variable that explains this discrepancy is gender bias. Hastings tries to intervene. Your Honor, subjective evaluation is part of military training. Instructors assess intangibles that tests don't measure. Morrison's voice cuts like a blade. Mr. Hastings, one of those intangibles apparently includes whether a Marine can survive harassment severe enough to drive them to suicide. He projects a new slide. Photo of Staff Sergeant Maria Carson. Marine dress blues, proud, smiling. Maria Carson, 12 years of service, combat engineer, 2 deployments, exemplary record, driven out of the Corps by systematic harassment and discriminatory evaluation. Next slide. Death certificate. Cause of death, suicide. The room goes silent. Morrison continues. Staff Sergeant Carson is one of 47 documented cases, 47 Marines driven out over 4 years across 12 installations. He projects the list. 47 names, 47 careers destroyed. Judge Reeves' expression has shifted completely. This isn't theoretical anymore. This is documented human cost. Morrison plays his next card. Your Honor, I'd like you to hear from someone directly affected. Emma Carson enters. 21 years old, Marine Utilities, jaw set with determination. Morrison makes the introduction. This is Private First Class Emma Carson, daughter of Staff Sergeant Maria Carson. Emma's voice is steady despite the tears on her face. Your Honor, my mother loved being a Marine. She believed in the Corps, believed in service, believed that excellence mattered more than anything else. She pauses, controls emotion. Staff Sergeant Brennan destroyed that belief. He systematically lowered her evaluations, denied her advancement opportunities, created an environment so hostile that she chose death over continuing to fight a system designed to break her. Emma pulls out a letter, hands it to Judge Reeves. This is the suicide note my mother left. I'd like you to read it. Judge Reeves takes the letter, reads in silence. Her face shows the impact, the weight of Maria Carson's final words. When she finishes, she looks at Hastings. Counselor, do you have any response to this evidence? Hastings has lost his confident demeanor. Your Honor, this is tragic. Truly tragic. But one suicide doesn't prove systematic corruption. It proves that Staff Sergeant Carson was troubled. Mental health issues are real, but they're not evidence of institutional failure. Emma's voice cuts through like a rifle shot. My mother wasn't troubled until the Corps she loved destroyed her faith in justice. Morrison adds the critical evidence. Your Honor, we have one more piece. This demonstrates obstruction at the highest levels. He projects a new slide, then pauses for effect. But first, I need to show you something that changes the entire context of this case. Morrison pulls up personnel files, shows one specifically. Lieutenant Mark Graham, Senator Robert Graham's nephew, currently serving under Staff Sergeant Brennan. He projects test scores. Failed rifle qualification 3 times, failed written exam twice, failed physical fitness test once. Next slide shows evaluation records. All failures marked as passing by Staff Sergeant Brennan. All complaints about performance closed without investigation by Captain Hastings. Bradford Hastings' face goes pale. Morrison continues relentlessly. Lieutenant Graham is currently serving as a platoon leader despite failing to meet minimum qualifications. He commands 30 Marines whose lives depend on his competence. He lets that sink in. This isn't just bias against women. This is corruption to benefit a senator's family member. This is why Senator Graham is desperate to shut down this investigation. Judge Reeves' expression has gone from concerned to furious. Mr. Hastings, your client's nephew is unqualified for his current position? Bradford Hastings stammers. Your Honor, I was not informed of... That's not an answer. Morrison plays the audio recording. Captain Hastings' voice, clear, undeniable. This is political reality, Colonel. Senator Graham's nephew serves under Sergeant Jake Brennan. The senator has made clear that any investigation reflecting poorly on the program reflects poorly on his family's military service. Then Morrison's response. So you're covering up documented bias to protect a senator's reputation. Hastings' reply. I'm preventing a witch hunt that damages the Corps' relationship with congressional oversight. The recording ends. Judge Reeves looks at Bradford Hastings. Counselor, that recording demonstrates attempted obstruction of a military investigation. That's a federal crime. Bradford Hastings recovers his composure. Your Honor, that recording was made without proper warrant. It's inadmissible. Sarah responds. Under UCMJ Article 31, military personnel can record conversations where there's probable cause to believe crimes are being committed. Captain Hastings attempted to interfere with a lawful investigation. The recording is completely admissible. Judge Reeves makes her decision. Colonel Morrison, based on the evidence presented, I'm denying the request for injunction. This investigation will proceed. Furthermore, I'm recommending that the Department of Justice review the obstruction evidence for potential federal prosecution. She turns to Bradford Hastings. Mr. Hastings, I'm also recommending that the Senate Ethics Committee investigate Senator Graham's conduct. Using political influence to protect an unqualified family member endangers Marine lives. That's unconscionable. Bradford Hastings stands. Your Honor, I must protest. Senator Graham will appeal this decision. Judge Reeves' voice is ice. Senator Graham can appeal to the Supreme Court if he wishes, but 47 Marines deserve justice, and this court will not be party to covering up systematic corruption that endangers military readiness. She turns to Morrison. Colonel, proceed with your investigation. Prosecute everyone involved, and send me your findings when complete. She leaves. Bradford Hastings follows. Defeated, his perfect record broken. When they're gone, Morrison turns to Sarah and Emma. We won. The investigation proceeds. Emma's voice is quiet. What happens now? Now we build the criminal case. Courts-martial for Brennan and Captain Hastings. Federal charges for anyone else involved. Justice. 6 weeks later. Marine Corps Court-Martial, Quantico, Virginia. The courtroom is packed. Media, Marines, families of the 47. Staff Sergeant Jake Brennan sits at the defense table. 38 years old, bald head, but the confidence is gone, replaced by hollow recognition of consequences. Captain Derek Hastings sits at a separate defense table. 40 years old, still wearing uniform but stripped of all insignia, waiting for the inevitable. The charges are read. Brennan faces 17 counts. Conspiracy to violate equal opportunity regulations. Conduct unbecoming, reckless endangerment, obstruction of justice. Hastings faces 12 counts. Conspiracy, obstruction, abuse of authority, making false statements. The prosecution calls its first witness, Colonel Hawk Morrison. He takes the stand. Hand on Bible, oath administered. The prosecutor, Major David Ortiz, begins. Colonel Morrison, please describe what you observed during your evaluation of the Advanced Marksmanship program. Morrison's testimony is precise, methodical, decades of service compressed into devastating analysis. He describes the safety violations, the duct-tape rifle, the range procedures that endangered Marines. He describes the systematic bias, the pattern of discrimination, the hostile environment. He describes the obstruction, Hastings' interference, Senator Graham's pressure. The defense tries to cross-examine. Brennan's lawyer, a civilian named Marcus Webb, attempts to discredit Morrison. Colonel, isn't it true you were retired, that you have an axe to grind against the Marine Corps? Morrison's response is calm. I retired honorably. My motivation is justice, not revenge. But you admit you were looking for problems, that you came to Quantico expecting to find corruption. I came expecting to find training deficiencies. I found criminal conspiracy. There's a difference. The cross-examination fails to dent Morrison's credibility. The prosecution calls Sarah. She takes the stand, uniform pressed, ribbons displayed, the ghost made visible. Major Ortiz walks her through her testimony. Captain Mitchell, please describe the conditions you observed during your 2-week evaluation. Sarah's testimony is technical, detailed, every incident documented, every witness named, every violation categorized. She describes Brennan's behavior, the broken rifle, the impossible challenge, the physical assault. She describes the pattern she observed. Female Marines graded harder, treated worse, driven out systematically. Webb tries to cross-examine. Captain, isn't it true you have a vested interest in finding discrimination? That as a female Marine, you benefit from portraying the Corps as biased? Sarah's eyes lock onto his. I benefit from serving in an institution that values competence over assumptions. Discrimination doesn't help me. It hurts the entire Corps. But you admit you're not objective. You're emotionally invested in this outcome. I'm invested in justice. I'm invested in ensuring that Marines like Maria Carson don't die believing the system failed them. Webb changes tactics. Captain, your shooting demonstration was impressive, but wasn't it also theatrical? Designed to humiliate Staff Sergeant Brennan rather than demonstrate competence? Sarah's response is devastating. I shot 10 targets at 800 meters with 100% accuracy. If that humiliated Staff Sergeant Brennan, the problem wasn't my shooting. The problem was his assumption that I couldn't shoot. The courtroom murmurs approval. Webb has no response. The prosecution calls its final witness, Private First Class Emma Carson. She takes the stand, 21 years old, Marine Utilities, voice steady despite visible emotion. Major Ortiz is gentle with her. Private Carson, please tell the court about your mother. Emma takes a breath. My mother, Staff Sergeant Maria Carson, served 12 years in the Marine Corps. She was a combat engineer. She deployed twice. She loved serving her country. What happened to her? Staff Sergeant Brennan destroyed her career. He systematically lowered her evaluations. He denied her advancement opportunities. He created an environment so hostile that she felt she had no choice but to leave. What happened after she left the Corps? Emma's voice cracks. She killed herself because she couldn't live with the belief that she wasn't good enough, that she had failed. Private Carson, do you believe your mother failed? No, sir. My mother was excellent. The system failed her. Emma pulls out her mother's suicide note. The court has already seen it, but she reads it aloud anyway. To my daughter, Emma, I served this Corps for 12 years. I loved being a Marine, but when Staff Sergeant Brennan failed me on false grounds and Captain Hastings refused to investigate, they didn't just end my career. They killed the part of me that believed in honor and fairness. If you're reading this, I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to keep fighting, but please don't let them do this to anyone else. Semper Fidelis, Mom. The courtroom is silent. Webb doesn't cross-examine, can't cross-examine. Any question would only make things worse for his client. The prosecution rests. The defense tries to mount a case. Brennan takes the stand, testifies that he believed he was maintaining standards, that he didn't intend to discriminate, that his sister's death affected his judgment but doesn't excuse his actions. It's too little, too late, too unconvincing. Hastings testifies that he was following senatorial guidance, that he believed he was protecting the Corps from political interference. The jury doesn't buy it. Deliberations last 4 hours. The verdicts come back. Brennan, guilty on all 17 counts. Hastings, guilty on all 12 counts. Sentencing is immediate. The military judge, Colonel Patricia Sanders, reads the sentences. Staff Sergeant Jacob Brennan, this court sentences you to reduction in rank to E1, forfeiture of all pay and allowances, dishonorable discharge, and confinement for 6 years at the United States Disciplinary Barracks, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Brennan shows no reaction. He knew this was coming. Captain Derek Hastings, this court sentences you to dismissal from service, forfeiture of all pay and allowances including pension, and confinement for 5 years at the United States Disciplinary Barracks, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Hastings' face crumbles. His career, his freedom, his future, all gone. Judge Sanders continues. Additionally, this court recommends that the Marine Corps conduct a comprehensive review of training programs at all installations to identify and eliminate systematic bias. The evidence in this case demonstrates institutional failure that goes beyond individual misconduct. She looks directly at Morrison and Sarah. Colonel Morrison, Captain Mitchell, your dedication to justice honors the Corps. These Marines' lives were destroyed by people who forgot that excellence has no gender. You've reminded us of that fundamental truth. Court is adjourned. Outside, Emma Carson is surrounded by reporters, but she only wants to talk to Sarah. Ma'am, thank you. My mother can rest now. Sarah's voice is gentle. Your mother can rest because you had the courage to testify. You honored her memory. What happens now? Now we make sure this never happens again. 6 months later, Quantico, Virginia. The changes are visible everywhere. New instructor training program, mandatory bias awareness, standardized evaluation protocols, anonymous complaint procedures. Hayes has been promoted to chief instructor. He runs the reformed program with the same attention to detail he applied to evidence collection. Female Marine retention has increased 34%. Training scores have improved 12% across all demographics. Complaints of bias have dropped 67%. The numbers tell the story of institutional transformation. Morrison stands in his office, packing. Retirement is final this time. No more calls from generals. No more investigations. Just fishing in Montana. Sarah enters. Colonel, I wanted to thank you before you leave. Morrison looks up. Captain, I should be thanking you. You did the hard part. All I did was document it. You gave 47 Marines justice. That's more than documentation. Morrison closes a box. Justice is never complete. Brennan serves 6 years. Hastings serves 5. They'll be out before they're 50. Is that enough for 47 destroyed careers? Sarah considers this. It's more than they would have gotten without you. Sometimes incomplete justice is all we can achieve. Morrison nods. What about you? What's next? General Thornton offered me a position, chief instructor at Scout Sniper School. Morrison smiles. Teaching the next generation. That's perfect. I'm not sure I'm ready. Teaching means staying in one place, following curriculum. I'm better at improvising downrange. You just improvised institutional reform. I think you can handle a classroom. Sarah helps him pack. Sir, can I ask you something? Of course. When you first saw me on that firing line, did you know who I was? Morrison pauses. I suspected your movement patterns, your breathing control, your professional equipment inspection, all suggested advanced training. But you didn't intervene, didn't stop Brennan from giving me the broken rifle. No, because sometimes justice requires letting people reveal themselves. Brennan's true character needed to be visible, documented, undeniable. You used me as bait. Morrison's expression is serious. I gave you an opportunity to demonstrate competence under conditions designed to ensure failure. You exceeded every expectation, changed an institution, saved careers. He pauses. If that was using you as bait, I'd do it again. Sarah understands. Thank you, sir, for everything. They shake hands. Decades of service meeting, years of combat. Different generations, same values. 1 year later, Scout Sniper School graduation camp, Lejeune, North Carolina. 47 graduates stand at attention, the largest class in Scout Sniper School history. 19 are female, the highest percentage ever. Emma Carson stands third from the left, 22 years old now, completed the most demanding course in Marine Corps training. Third in her class. Her mother would be proud. Sarah Mitchell, now chief instructor, addresses the graduates. Marines, you've completed training that 90% of applicants fail. You've proven you have the skill, dedication, and mental toughness required to be Marine Corps Scout snipers. She pauses. But graduation is just the beginning. The real test comes downrange, when lives depend on your shots, when decisions carry weight that never goes away, when you understand that every trigger pull has consequences. Her voice carries weight earned from 127 confirmed kills. Some of you will make shots that save American lives. Some of you will carry the weight of those shots for the rest of your lives. Both are part of being a sniper. She looks directly at Emma. Your competence will be questioned. Your presence will be challenged. Your authority will be doubted, not because of your skills, because of assumptions people make about who belongs in combat roles. Prove them wrong, not with words, with performance, with results, with excellence that makes assumptions irrelevant. The graduates stand straighter, Sarah concludes. Marines, welcome to the Brotherhood. Semper Fidelis. After the ceremony, Emma approaches Sarah. Ma'am, I wanted you to know, I'm dedicating my Scout Sniper badge to my mother. Sarah nods. She would be honored. Do you ever wonder if it's worth it? The weight, the memories, the cost. Sarah looks at the 47 graduates. 19 of them women who wouldn't have had this opportunity a year ago. Every day. But then I see Marines like you, succeeding because someone fought to give you the chance. And I remember why the weight matters. Emma salutes. Sarah returns it. 2 women separated by years and 127 kills. United by belief that excellence transcends assumptions. Arlington National Cemetery 2 weeks later. Sarah stands in Section 60, the newest section, where the fallen from Iraq and Afghanistan rest. She's looking for a specific grave. Lieutenant Emily Brennan, born 1985. Mom, died 2009. KIA Ramadi, Iraq. Sarah places flowers on the grave. She never met Emily Brennan, never served with her, never knew her except as the sister whose death broke her brother. But she understands now. Jake Brennan's hatred wasn't about women in combat. It was about grief unprocessed, pain unresolved, blame that needed a target. Emily Brennan deserved better than to be the excuse for her brother's crimes. Sarah speaks quietly. Lieutenant Brennan, your brother tried to honor you by tearing others down. I'm honoring you by building them up. I hope that's acceptable. The wind carries her words across Section 60, across graves of Marines who died serving their country, who believed in something bigger than themselves. Sarah's phone buzzes. Encrypted message. From classified subject, operation request. Ghost, we need you. Classified operation. High-value target. Your skill set required. Respond within 24 hours. Sarah reads it twice. The call she knew would come eventually. The offer to go back downrange, to do what she does best, to make impossible shots in impossible circumstances. She thinks about Afghanistan, about Syria, about Iraq, about 127 faces she sees in dreams. She thinks about Emma Carson, about the 47 graduates, about institutional change that will outlast her service. She types her response. Response, negative. I'm exactly where I need to be. She deletes the message, turns away from Emily Brennan's grave, walks toward the future instead of the past. Quantico, Virginia, present day. Morrison watches the news in his Montana cabin. Retirement suits him. Fishing, reading, peace. The news anchor is covering military reform. Following last year's landmark courts-martial at Quantico, the Marine Corps has implemented sweeping changes to training programs nationwide. Female Marine retention has increased 34%. Overall training scores have improved. And the Corps has established new oversight procedures to prevent future discrimination. The anchor continues. Retired Colonel Harold Hawk Morrison, who led the investigation, was unavailable for comment, but sources say he's fishing in Montana and has no plans to return to Washington. Morrison smiles. His wife brings him coffee. Still watching yourself on the news? They got one thing wrong. I have no plans to return to Washington because I never want to return to Washington. She laughs. Morrison's phone rings. He doesn't recognize the number but answers anyway. Morrison. A young voice, female, familiar. Sir, this is Private First Class Carson. I'm sorry to bother you, but I wanted to let you know. I graduated Scout Sniper School, 3rd in my class. And Morrison's smile widens. Private Carson, that's outstanding. Your mother would be incredibly proud. Thank you, sir. And sir, I wanted to say thank you for everything you did, for giving my mother justice. Private, you gave your mother justice by having the courage to testify. I just provided the platform. Still, sir, thank you. After the call ends, Morrison sits quietly. Decades of service, hundreds of investigations, thousands of Marines evaluated. But this one feels different. This one changed lives, changed institutions, changed the future. His wife sees his expression. Good news? The best. The system worked. Justice prevailed, and a young Marine is honoring her mother's memory by being excellent. Is that what you wanted? Morrison considers the question. I wanted truth. I got justice. Sometimes they're the same thing. He returns to his fishing report, but he knows he'll sleep better tonight. Epilogue, text on screen. Following the Quantico reforms, female Marine retention increased 34% in 18 months. 17 female Marines wrongfully discharged were offered reinstatement. 12 accepted. Emma Carson graduated Scout Sniper School in 2026, ranking 3rd in her class. Staff Sergeant Jake Brennan is serving 6 years at USTB Leavenworth, eligible for parole in 2029. Captain Derek Hastings was dishonorably discharged and is serving 5 years at USTB Leavenworth. Forfeited all pension benefits. Lieutenant Mark Graham was removed from command and discharged for failure to meet minimum qualifications. Currently under investigation for fraudulent enlistment. Senator Robert Graham resigned from the Senate in 2025 under threat of Ethics Committee expulsion. Federal obstruction charges are pending. The Department of Justice investigation continues. Bradford Hastings law firm, Hastings & Carmichael, lost all government contracts following the trial. The firm dissolved in 2026. Hastings faces potential disbarment proceedings. Colonel Harold Hawk Morrison retired after serving his country for over 4 decades. He lives in Montana. Captain Sarah Ghost Mitchell serves as chief instructor, Scout Sniper School, Camp Lejeune. Staff Sergeant Maria Carson's name was added to the memorial wall at Quantico in 2025. The broken rifle used to humiliate Captain Mitchell is now displayed at the National Museum of the Marine Corps with the inscription, "Excellence has no gender." Fade to black. Semper Fidelis. The end.